And in the upper right, in the red, he is, for Alpha X, the young prodigy himself, Zoun. And the bottom left, in the blue, he is the ace of Kites of Gaming, Solar. Wait. Why are they talking in English? I mean, did they know this was going to get covered in English? Did they wanted to provide information for the fans? Like, we see Zoun complimenting Solar, but I don't know why these are in English characters instead of Hangul. All right, that just doesn't make any sense to me, but it's fine. It's okay. We appreciate the banter anyways. And I'm actually really excited. Also, okay, never mind. This actually wasn't probe here. I'm really excited to see what Zoun's PvZ looks like, because we think of PvZ right now. It is Void Ray meta. Fine, whatever. That is trap style. All right, that is trap to a T. You get, if you want to play trap to a T, you play Warp Gate into Stargate. Do what you can to, like, in part, you remove a scouting option from the Zerg. They can't say, oh yes, you don't have Warp Gate before 230. It's a Stargate build. But it also gives you a little bit more ground control, as far as I can tell. Maybe a little bit more defense outside of that third base, as the case may be. And that's something pretty much only Trap is doing. Parting apparently is as well. According to Hearthstone today, he's like, yeah, I saw Parting do that in 4 games in the Elim League. I'm like, oh, I didn't catch that. Because there's only so much time in the day and only so much StarCraft I can watch. But, anyway. Point being here, most Protoss players don't do that. But if you want to talk about Zoun style, I've seen him do something rather compelling as of late. He goes for an adept timing, like, and you might say, hey, oh, that's what everyone does in some games. I'm like, no. It's 3-gate glaive with a quick third base into something else, +1 blink, whatever. It's not committed glaive. It's not committed glaives. It's like say +3 or 3-gate blink against a Terran player versus 4-gate blink. Yeah, 3-gate blink can kill an opponent if you're lucky and you catch him off guard, but well, it's not necessarily meant to, unless of course you are actually committing to it, unless you get that War Prism. And that's not what Zoun does when he's going for that build, but it does not matter, folks. It does not matter whether we're talking about the 3-gate Adept Glaive build, because it's not going to happen in this game. Solar, he's going to have to contend with Stargate Tech. He's going to have to contend with that most wonderful word. Well, 2 words. Voids and Rays. Void Rays are going to be the name of the game from Zoun, most likely. We could see just Oracle commitment, and actually that has started to be in the meta just a little bit more. You know, a 4-oracle. Getting 4 oracles and going into ground behind that. That seems somewhat popular. It feels like you almost always get at least 1 Void Ray, though, and yeah, okay. I gave Zoun options. I've talked about all the things that he could do, and then he just does the default anyways. Well, you know what? I tried, folks. But in fairness here, just getting that single Void Ray does not really tell you too much about... I mean, it tells you you're going to get a Void Ray, but it doesn't really tell you too much about anything else. This is not the days of the early part of 2021 where it was like, yeah, okay. Warp Gate into Stargate. Quick Stargate after that. Void Rays into Void Rays. 353rd. 4 minutes, 10 seconds Stargate. All of these things are just standard, right? That was every single PvZ. But luckily, the meta has evolved. Luckily, the games have become watchable again, because there was a time it was like, okay, mass Void Rays into Queen Walk, and either the Zerg has the Queen Walk work or the Protoss player dies. Not a great... Or the Zerg loses, I guess, because technically the Queen Walk working does mean the Protoss player does die. Point being, was not the most exciting and riveting gameplay, but now the builds have expanded. Now we have all of these different options. We see occasional +1 timings, double Stargate timings, and there we go, +1 is on the way. This does seem to be growing in popularity rather recently, because you still get a decently timed third base, but on maps this big, maybe not on, say, a Lightshade, certainly not on a Beckett, you get your +1 just about by the time that the Queen Walk does commence, if that is something that Solar is interested in. And +1 Voids actually can fight Queens rather well, unless it's, you know, say 11 Queens or something. But at the normal Queen Walk count, normally the +1 Voids can actually deal with the Queens in some capacity, especially with of course there being shield batteries behind that. And if your opponent, if Solar chooses to go for something like Mutas, right, 13 Mutas into Corruptors, which is something that we've seen get a little bit more popular. Well, Void Rays in a pinch, +1 Voids can actually deal with mutas, assuming they're not, you know, really getting out of control. And then, hey, look, you already got the opportunity for +1 Phoenix. All right, so it works out rather well indeed. Getting that +1 also means that if you want to go for, say, a +2 carrier timing, well, you're going to be able to hit that one rather fast. And that's not to say it doesn't have downsides, but it does seem that it is the most popular way. Oh, Solar. I don't know if that's worth it. Probably is. He goes into he uses the transfuse to save a drone. Nice job, because you saw Joe and he's just kind of waffling. He's like, yeah, do I go back there? Do I go and kill off that drone? I mean, the queen's just barely out of range. I'm gonna go do it. I'm gonna do it. And then the moment he dives back in, transfuse, hopes crushed, dreams are now memes. All of those fun and wonderful things. And yeah, okay, Solar will go Spire in this game. I do like this. I think I like this a lot more than just Queen Walks every game. It feels like this +1 style, this +1 Void Ray style against Queen Walks just works really well for the Void Ray player. And Spire gives you a little bit more option. Solar, he's going to get on up to just about 1,300 gas. Get probably 13 mutas if this is the style that I've seen him play in EPT Cups, for example. You get 13 mutas, you get Necruptors behind that. You force the Protoss player into a game that they are not building for, right? The whole point of this build that Zoun is doing is let me get to carriers, right? Let me get into, ideally, carriers plus some sort of ground splash. Carrier Storm in this example, because we have a, well, we have a Temple Archives underway and a Robo Bay on the way as well. So Zoun, he's getting both. He's getting both options for himself. I think, well, it may just be, say, Archon Disruptor or something. Not really sure. Point being, 11 meters are now underway. And okay, we got a Baneling Nest coming down. So this may not even be Mutacruptor. This may just be pure Muta here. Oh, the rocks won't go down. 54 HP. Oh, that's unfortunate here for Solar. All right, so now, yeah, the Oracle will go on in. The Oracle will go on out in a body bag. Bit unfortunate there, but Joe, he's still pretty happy. He's got Disruptors on the way. He's got 6 more gates. He's got double Disruptor. He's got High Templar. He's building Archons. He's actually feels like he's gearing up for a bit of a push with his 6 Voids. They do have +1. He's getting Archons. Generally, you don't build Archons unless you intend to do something with them. But has this? I believe the mutas have been scattered. Yeah, the mutas have been scattered. Double Phoenix are underway. Of course, they will have +1, so they're going to deal with these mutas rather well indeed. The Void Ray is getting in position in the meantime, just looking to sacrifice their souls for the cost. You're getting on top of a shield battery actually means with shield battery overcharge, again, they can fight this somewhat decently. Now these Disruptors have to be careful. I think these Disruptors may go on down, but you know, honestly, with the cannons here, with the shield batteries, the Voids are fighting this rather well. How many points died there? 2 Void Rays for 6 Phoenix. Not worthwhile here for Solar whatsoever. And yeah, he's up 50 army supply. 40 army supply. That's something. But it's a lot of Roaches that don't do a lot. A lot of Zerglings that honestly won't do a lot here because we have an Archon at the 3rd base. Disruptors as well. And, well, we're going to see just Mass Phoenix as a response to this because the mutas, well, they've forced a response, right? They forced Mass Phoenix. And that does mean that we won't see carriers nearly as quickly. But, on the flip side, this is a scary army from Zoun here. Look at resources cost. It's down in minerals. That's fine. I mean, this is a lot of Zerglings, but it's up in gas a significant amount. There's a lot of splash here. And that means that as Zoun looks to get active on the map, he will most likely be he may be successful here, right? Phoenix are doing a fantastic job of keeping these mutas away from things. They are, I mean, they're going to just kill them off, honestly. They're +1 Phoenix. There are 6 of them, and there are just as many Phoenix as there are mutas here. So absolutely going to be a fantastic fight here for the Phoenix in the sky. The question is whether the army on the ground is going to be able to do the same. Biles are landing here, but the Void Rays in the sky are still powerful. And yeah, the army on the ground is something. But if these queens get targeted on down, right, that's going to be a bit of a problem. I don't think they will, though, as we have 8 queens on the map here. Nice lifts, knocking down some of the rest of these low Roaches. But now the queens and the Ravagers, they be walking. It looks like Zella drop into this 5th base, but that's not going to get too much here. Baneling's morphing on in. Do we have any more disruptors on the map? Yes, we have 2. Where are they? Okay, rolling on over 2 more disruptors. So it's going to be a grand total of 4 here. And Solar, I mean, it's kind of do or die. All right, yes, he's got +1 underway, but that's not a lot of tech. And oh, these disruptor shots. Oh, the Zergmanity. Oh, the humanity here. That's a lot of supply that went down. And yeah, immediately Solar's back up to 100 to 200 supply. But it is a lot of supply going down in an instant. Banelings are not really getting a lot done because, again, disruptors, they're not light units. They don't really care. More disruptor shots going off. 4 roaches are dying. And meanwhile, this Warp Prism, I wouldn't be surprised to see a Warp in on the other side of the map because with 4 disruptors here, it feels like Zoun has what he needs to make this hold. And there we go. Phoenix here to lift on everything. But, well, disruptors are a powerful drug. They force the drops because, of course, Ravagers mean the Phoenix don't get to do much of what they want here. But the Queens are now starting to die. These +1 Zealots having a fantastic fight. And you got to be careful there. Disruptors don't want to die. These Zealots warping on in as well. 6 workers do go down. Another warp in here. And now, well, it is all starting to fall apart for the Sun himself. Solar, he's just losing everything. Disruptors on top of the last bits of roaches. It's a problem, and I think the solution is game 2 coming at you, folks, because again, these disruptor shots are just absolutely dominant. For the first time in a while, Zoun is within 10 army supply of Solar, and of course, when we're looking at all-ins, Protoss versus Zerg, I mean, this is functionally all-in. There's no 4th base on the way. We're just looking at supply. Does the Protoss player equal the supply of the Zerg? Well, it's not going to be all that great for the Zerg. Here's disruptor shots once again. They're coming on in. Looks like Zoun has found his timing. It's a slow one. It's taking a little while to find his way on in, but these disruptor shots, they have not died over the course of this game. They are finding almost infinite value. Let's take a look. 14 kills, 12 kills. Yeah, it's a lot. Like 50 kills here. In the bottom right in the red. He is for Alpha X here, looking to qualify straight to Code S. Up 1-0. Give it up for Zoun. And in the upper left, in the blue, looking to fight back here, take game number 3. He is Solar. And you know what? In the Beyond series we just saw, Solar, he lost game 1 to some rather cheeky Terran play. Right, the 2 racks didn't kill him, but certainly the follow-up Banshees, they did. And then Solar struck back in a long game on Romanticide, and then he won the 3rd as well. So we may see something like that here, where Solar says, yeah, I don't know. I just don't like Lightshade. I don't feel like I'm very good on it. I'm sorry. There's light. I don't like 2000 atmosphere. Yeah, I don't like 2000 atmospheres. I don't know. For some reason, I just really managed to swap around Lightshade, 2000 atmospheres, and Oxide in my head. I mean, 2000 atmospheres and Oxide, they're like core 4 bases share a very similar layout, but I'm not sure why Lightshade gets put on in there. I guess it's very similar as well in that kind of core 4 setup with the chokes around it. But yeah, I know those maps apart as I'm casting them, but if I'm trying to remember which one was which, I'm like, was it this one? Was it this one? I don't know. That's my excuse. I'm sticking to it. I don't know how valid it is, but you know, it's fine. A-okay here is Zoun. We're gonna have to see what he goes for. He went for Stargate Tech in game number 1. It worked out very well for him. He didn't really have to deal with the Queen Walk, but he did have to deal with mutas, and well, having those +1 voids did a great job of stalling until he could get +1 Phoenix, which just shred mutas. It's not even a question. Because of course that +1, that bonus attack applies to both Phoenix attacks, which means it's effectively +2. And that's the thing, is just get a little bit interesting. Just get a little bit dicey here. So it's kind of funny. Steadfast, my good friend, was on the A stream today for the first time in his career. It's very exciting. He killed it. I cannot wait to see him more next season, hopefully, as he gets more opportunities. But he made a tweet afterwards. He's like, yeah, well, what a whirlwind. I was so glad to be here. It was a great time. And everyone's responding with love or whatever. But in the same thing, he tagged me because we will be on the B stream on Sunday together. which awesome, fantastic there. Very excited about that. I think this is the first time I'm going to be working with Steadfast in an official DreamHack. Well, I guess I had that one series last year, but for a full day, this is going to be the first time I'm going to be working with him in like an official DreamHack event. And, well, very excited about that. But the point being, this is in the same quote. So this is in the same tweet. And at some point, I got a smartwatch, right? So I get some notifications get pushed to my watch, and I see a tweet, which I think is to me at first saying, "I love you, mate." And I'm like, oh, wow. I mean, that's some love here. Then I realized it was response to Steadfast thing, and I just happened to be tagged in it, so I'm getting the responses. I'm like, oh, they don't love me. They just love Steadfast. It's fair. I get it. But I was excited. I thought someone was expressing their undying love across the internet, and then it didn't happen. That's fine. It's again, this is a Stargate play. The interesting thing is, I'm sorry, we have Warp Gate now. I'm like, I spent too much time telling stories. I'm like, it's 4 minutes in, we don't have Warp Gate, but no. Warp Gate is just done. It is dusted. Third base, about halfway done here for Zoun at this point. He does get that 350 odd third base, but no +1 yet, right? He's not going to go for quite the same build he did in game number 1 because, you don't see pro players do that. You know the saying, fool me once, shame on me. Fool me twice, shame on you. And Zoun, he's got a whole bevy of builds. He's got a whole panoply of Protoss plays. There we go, sure. But okay, we'll be a second Stargate after all here at 440, so it's going to be a little bit later than what we might otherwise see, but still going to find some damage. As this Adept gets not a lot. 1 drone for 2 Adepts, not really worthwhile. But I love Zoun here. He's just trying to find openings. He's trying to find value. Just like, oh, maybe I can get some drones in the third base. Okay, that's not going to work. Whatever. Honestly, these 2 Adepts at this point, they're not going to make that big of a difference. They kind of keep the third base safe, but I mean, we have a shield battery here. We have an Adept. We have a sentry. It's going to be fine. And ideally, right, if I go and I shade it into the third base and I'm pressuring the main base with my Void Rays, maybe my Oracle can find some damage in the natural. Something like that is Zoun actually something I've noticed here, at least in this series. As I say that, of course, he kind of just skips the Zerglings. He's done a pretty good job of preventing paths from getting opened with his Oracles. Like, he'll find a spot where the Zerglings are trying to knock some rocks down. Here, for example. And then he'll say, no, you don't get to do that. I don't want you to have quick attack paths. That's not okay to me. But, I mean, Solar's not really going for a Queen Walk. Or if he is, he's going for a rather delayed one. I mean, he is going up to 10 Queens. But the layer is done. We have Roach Speed underway. There's a 4th base as well. And Solar's on 68 workers. So this is like the super macro Queen Walk where you're like, maybe I can find something here. Maybe I can walk across the map. Go for a nice stroll in the City of Seoul. And go for that. But honestly, I think by the time this push happens, charge is going to be done. +1 may be done. And we're going to have Disruptors on the field. So I don't have a lot of confidence in this potential attack here from the blue Zerg player. I mean, it's possible, and he will have 10 queens. 10 queens are nothing to shake a stick at, but you get double Disruptors into a clump of queens, and they're just all dead. Right? If you time it perfectly, there's no time for transfusion. The queens just die. And yeah, I like how Zoun just kind of realized that this was happening. He's like, yeah, okay. I saw the queens out on the map. We saw shield batteries go down outside of the third base, some cannons as well. He's starting to build the static defense that he needs. Because again, the big tell is these rocks are getting taken on down on his side of the map. The other side of the map, there's an argument that this is just defensive play. On his side of the map, no. That is a different story indeed. This is a lot of Ravagers. This is a massive timing coming on in from the blue Zerg player, and we're gonna have to see whether Zoun is ready to defend. He does not have his Disruptors ready yet. Charge is done now. And Charge is actually somewhat good against a bunch of Ravagers, right? They're just not nearly as tanky as Roadstar. They're not armored. But at the end of the day, right, that's just still a lot of stuff here. But first Disruptor is out now. We should start to see some Novas come on out. And my goodness, that's a Nova. It's not what you need just yet. It's still 40 supply delta. But this was 160 supply. Now it's 140. Disruptor shots on top of these queens. A lot of transfusions will have to get spent on them to put them back up to full health. And this is just not working. We're going to have more and more Disruptors underway. And yeah, Biles are going to land on top of the shield batteries. Notice Zoun micros over to where the shield battery is just to make sure he can find the most value from it as possible before it does get exploded. And yeah, Zerglings are doing a decent job of getting on top of these Disruptors, but there's a shield battery. Not going to get that much there. And okay, yeah, this Disruptors really should not go down. The queens are starting to get some damage on top of these void rays, but the disruptor shot's killing those off. And this push has been gloriously held. The last queens are going to go on down, and now the roaches, they're here. They're going to try to find something, but well, explosions, explosions, explosions. Solar's micro is not quite up to the task, and he has killed so damn. Let's look at resources lost. That's a little depressing. Look at units lost. Apparently there was an Archon in this game. I did not see that. That's also depressing. 10 queens have died, 15 ravagers have died. It's like, single disruptor, 2 void rays, and some zealots. Okay. Now this 4th base, this may not be allowed to get up. This, yeah, this is gonna get canceled here, but again, Solar's walking 5. This is so weird. He's walking like 5 more queens across the map. He's building more, but I don't know if that's worthwhile. I mean, it's 4 voids on the map right now. We do have a fleet beacon on the way, and that's nice. We probably are going to see Zoun go and just straight into carriers, but the Spire is just about done, and that means that actually Solar's going to have some significant map presence for a while. There we go. Carriers are now underway, but it's going to be 16 mutas here. And we have some amount of static defense on the 3rd, certainly, with all the cannons and the shield batteries. But cannon, shield battery in the main, nothing in the natural. Okay, that's going to be the weak underbelly of the Protoss defense that Solar's really going to be looking for. On the flip side, though, this is a rather slim timing that Solar's looking for, because honestly, mutas are pretty terrible against carriers. They don't have a lot of HP. Carriers have a lot of HP, and interceptors do a pretty good job against mutas. So yeah, these mutas are going to be able to get some damage done, but it's a slim timing. It's not, they don't have much room on time on this earth before the carriers pop out and the mutas start to get a little bit sad, especially once +1 is done. So they're going to try to find whatever they can. Oh, that's going to be a nice catch, but the carrier is out and it's going to be able to start firing away. Second carrier is going to be a little bit slower, and we will have to see the pylon pop on out here. Do we have any shield batteries in the main? The answer is no. So these voiders are starting to go on down, but well, we do have stalkers. They do have +1. They will be able to shoot the mutas away for a time, but hey, soft underbelly of the Protoss defense here. Meanwhile, of course, Zerglings, Roaches, Ravagers trying to find their way on into the 4th base, but Disruptors have plenty to say about that one. Zoun now down only to 56 workers, but his economy, or his army, is not that bad. He's only 20 army supply down, and he's got carriers on the field. And okay, well, he's got 1 carrier. Oh, he got a 2nd carrier up. But now it's going to be +1 Phoenix are going to be the name of the game here. We might even see any Pulse Crystals because, I mean, look, the Mothership is already down. I'm sorry, the Fleet Beacon is already down. But also, shout out to Solar and Beyond, or Solar and Zoun. They made this with Game Heart. I assume it's just kind of a default response at this point, but it makes me very happy. We can see workers lost, things like that. It's just a little bit easier to cast the game, a little bit easier to appreciate the game. All right, so Ling Bane is going to try to Ling Roach is going to try to dive on into the 3rd base. Okay, mutas were going to dive on top of that disruptor. No big deal. Actually, a lot of interceptors are going to start to go on down, but I love just sitting these Archons underneath it. It means that the mutas really can't dive on top of these carriers all that much because, hey, you're eating +1 Archon shots, and Archons do ludicrous damage to mutas in general. Now, Solar has gone for Corruptors behind this. This is Muta Corruptor. This is the style I was talking about in game number 1 that did not really end up pairing out here. But the mutas do have +1. That gives them a lot more utility against the type of army that Solar has opted to build, and they're going to have Andean Pulse Crystal soon. Properly microed, Andean Pulse Crystal mutas or Phoenix can kill Corruptors. The problem is they just don't kill them all that fast. But if you have +1 mute or +1 Phoenix against +0 Corruptors, that calculus changes just a little bit. Now, it's not easy, and ideally here, what you see the mutas, they dive on in, they kill off the things that are vulnerable to mutas, and the Corruptors just zone out the Phoenix. But we're going to have to see whether that is going to be possible in this game. As now the mutas are going to look to dive on top of an Artosis pylon, but you know what? Honestly, Andean Pulse Crystal Phoenix are a scary thing indeed. We're just going to see the rest of these mutas go on down rather quickly. And Solar has not really done much to go and really try to force Zoun to keep his Phoenix back, right? What you can do here, you're like, okay, this is a +1 Annie Pulse Crystal Phoenix. That is a big spook. That is rather scary against the army that I have made for myself. I'm going to attack into their 4th. I'm going to force them to micro there, which means I actually can escape. But also surprisingly, we don't see these Phoenix chasing. They absolutely have the capacity to. But in all honesty, I don't know that they care. Zoun, he's getting close to maxed out here, 183 supply. And the majority of solar supply is in this ground army. Or excuse me, is in this air army here. As we're going to see Banelings come crashing on in. A lot of disruptors cut out of the side of this army. So that's going to be a bit of a problem. But Solar, he committed a lot to that. That was expensive. That was a lot of Banelings, even as the disruptors did go down. So Zoun, he's up 20 army supply. And he's about to have +2. He's about to have +2 for, well, he's going to have +2 air just a little bit later. Now, we will have the mutants that are going to try to dive on top of this, but the Archons are going to be able to get this off rather easily. The entire air army is dead. The ground army is not faring that much better. And now, well, the air army is dead. It means the Phoenix can reign supreme. +1 Phoenix with Annie Pulse Crystals, knocking everything down, lifting everything up, putting it all around in the spin cycle here. GG Zoun is going to qualify directly to Code S.